Heat up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hey everyone, my name's Derek, and welcome to the Plus Platoon. We are a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even go back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you're subscribed, and you will never miss a moment. I'm going to bring in, as always, my girl, Kate. Kate, how you doing this evening?
Oh, I am so good. I am really, really excited for this episode because there is one specific thing I am so pumped to talk about.
Awesome. Next, we have the birthday boy, Peter. Pete, how you doing?
Oh, you're muted.
No.
Try
Pete,
that again. Try again, Pete. You're still muted. Birthday boy's not allowed to talk today.
Yeah, apparently not. I might as well just drop him.
We're just going to puppeteer. He's just going to move his mouth and I'm going to speak for him. Go ahead, Pete. You should be unmuted now. Nope.
I'm unmuted now. Sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that from everybody.
Very welcome. Next, we've got the soon-to-be college graduate, Rebecca. Rebecca, how you doing?
Gosh, so amazing. So excited to be here. Yes, my graduation is on Friday. I'm so ready to do this.
Congratulations. And we have this week our full platoon. So we've got Sam. Sam, how's it going this evening?
It's going good. Hello, Tuneronies. I am very happy to be here with you all, and happy that Derek and Pete are back. So it's no longer ladies' night.
The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town. That's right. But we still outnumber the boys 3-2, and a little bit later.
Okay, we can take that.
4-2.
Well, but we've got Steve with us, and we've got Ryan with us, both saying happy birthday to Pete. So the numbers are evening out a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay, Kate. As we always do, we've got some Disney Plus news. What have we got this week?
We do have Disney Plus news. Oh, wait, am I muted? No, I'm good. No, okay. We're good. What's up, everybody? It's the Disney Plus news. First of all, an upcoming series of Star Wars called The Acolyte, which explores the dark side of the Force, is in talks with, oh no, is it Amandla Stenberg to play the lead. So sorry if I butchered that name. Second of all, I'm off my game tonight. As reported earlier, we now have confirmation that Marvel's The Eternals will debut on Disney Plus on January 12th. We are beginning to learn some of the plot elements of the long-advertised Avatar sequels. They will follow the Sully family, with the second movie focusing on the ramifications of the return of RDA mining. The setting is also changing from the previous jungle setting to an ocean reef. Interesting. And next up, due to the new Spider-Man movie being a joint venture with Disney and Sony, it will stream on Starz first, delaying its release to Disney Plus until later next year at the earliest. Wah, wah. Oh well. And last, but certainly not least, the Disney Plus series Diary of a Future President has been canceled after 2 seasons, joining Turner and Hooch in the that was a series pile of shows. So, wah, wah, wah. All right, Derek, back to you.
Yeah, and I cannot begin to tell you guys how sorry I am. We're going to have to delay watching this next Spider-Man movie.
We know how much he loves Spider-Man and Marvel in general.
Well, just the fact that this is going to be a movie that I'm going to have to watch like 4 or 5 movies to have any clue of what's going on. So
Pete, you're still on mute.
And this could be a real short show because Pete's still on mute. So.
Yeah, too much beer.
birthday drinks for Pete.
I was say it's your birthday. You're allowed.
Right. So this week we've had Hawkeye episode 4 has been out, and what's that, Kate? You haven't loved something Marvel, Pete? And I'm going to go over to you, Pete. No, we're not lucky enough that Hawkeye would also go to the moon. So, Pete, is Hawkeye's time running out? Are things starting to run short on this series?
It is not for me. I'm really enjoying this series. I like that it's a little lower stakes than most of the Marvel series. I like that it's a lot more humor than most of the Marvel series. Now, there was some seriousness in this episode 4, but there were still moments of humor within the episode, like with the big fight at the end, and Kate slides across the rope and she like gets stuck in the middle. She's like, I've done that in video games too. But no, I'm really enjoying it. I do say, like, it seems like 6 episodes is probably just about right. That, I want to see it start kind of coming to a conclusion. They finally threw in Yelena in this episode, but we really don't know. We know more from Black Widow about why she's there than anything in this in this show, because they haven't really talked about it. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and it's not my number one Marvel show for the year, but I'm enjoying it. What about you, Rebecca? What do you think?
So I think that we were all a little, what's the word, blessed with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier being one season through and through, beginning to end, that now that Loki and this one obviously are going to have multiple seasons, it seems like we are running out of time, even though they've probably prepared for all of us to watch these seasons go by and it not just be a one and done like the first 2 Marvel TV series that we watched. So for me, it's not running out of time. I love Clint Barton. I think that his, family, what is the word I'm looking for? I guess honor, and just him being such a family man, brings some more humanity into the Marvel series. We always see a lot of the characters that have no family, no friends, no love, they're just them as themselves, and him being so attached to his family and to the relationships that he has brings it a certain type of warmth to the show that a lot of the other Marvel characters have lacked, I think. I'm agreeing with Ryan here. Kate, to me, is not my favorite character. She's not my favorite soon-to-be Avenger.
That Kate.
Yeah,
not
this
Kate.
This Kate's wonderful. The one in this show is just not my cup of tea. I understand that she's important and needs to be in the show to kind of set off that 5th phase of the MCU, but that's the only thing. I think watching this next week, he's obviously not going to make it home to Christmas. We're going to be on some cliffhangers. So the 2nd season, all right. I don't know if you're agreeing with me or if you're like, no, you're dumb. But anyway.
I think he's going to make it home.
He's going to make it home to Christmas.
To me, I don't know. Well, I mean, I guess we have a second question. We can talk about those things. Yeah, but Sam, what do you think?
I'm with you, Rebecca, on pretty much everything. I feel like I've really enjoyed this series. I would say the 4th episode was my least favorite of the 4 episodes because it was more serious. The first 3 episodes had a ton of humor, as Pete pointed out, and I'm a big fan of Marvel humor, and mixing that in with the adventurous stuff and the fighting. This episode to me was just a hair too serious. For itself. It took itself too seriously. But I would say I want more. I actually like the Kate as a character. I think she's fun and funny and silly. Not you, Kate. I love you, of course, but I'm talking about the future Miss Hawkeye.
This is fun.
But anyway, the character Kate, I actually really like. I love Pizza Dog, of course. The one thing I really am having a little bit of trouble with is there's too many plots going on right now. And we'll talk about the next question. I won't preview my answer to the next question that we're going to be talking about, but there's just too many things to figure out how to resolve right now. Like, we don't know about what's going on with the Watch. We still have like Kingpin in the background. We still have Maya. We just got Yelena reintroduced into this series. Like, there's too many plots going on that I don't know how they're going to resolve anything by the next episode, which is, I think, what Rebecca was talking about. It's really hard to see how everything gets resolved in, 2 more episodes. But it's still, that's a lot to resolve. So we know that there's got to be another season coming, and more stuff will be resolved either in that or in some of the movies that are coming too. So that, I think this is going to tie in to some of these upcoming movies as well. I know that Derek doesn't like this series by all of his body language, but I'm going to pass it. I know you liked some of the humor, but I'm going to pass it to Derek so he can tell us if he thinks Hawkeye's time is running out.
Yes, and the clock needs to move faster. This is the first one that felt like it was trying too hard to be a Marvel show. The humor was gone that I loved. The lightheartedness that was starting to draw me in was not available. It's one of those, they realized about 15 minutes into the episode, oh shoot, we only have 2 episodes left. How are we going to get this done? So I noticed a very distinct change once they left the apartment, that before, it's like that was shot first, and then the first and the end were written by 2 other people. Interesting point on Yelena, though. I read an interview today where the writers of Hawkeye had no idea what was going to happen on the end credit scene in Black Widow. They had no idea. They just brought her in because they felt she fit in the story. They didn't know that she was out for a hit on Clint at all. Now, we got to know that episode 5 is probably going to throw us the bad guy at the end. They did in WandaVision. They did in Loki. They did at, the next to last episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier. They're probably going to throw us the bad guy, who the real bad guy is, at the end of episode 5.
You're skipping Kate.
No. I'm just saying that's probably coming.
Okay.
I'm not saying who I think it is at all. I wouldn't skip her.
The other
say,
I'll show you who the real villain is.
Yeah, I know. It's Gina behind the scenes.
Yeah, we're gonna take Derek off. Hey, Gina, take Derek off.
But I don't know. For me, this is one of those. This was a made-for-TV special to introduce all the new characters and all the new shows. I will say I agree with Gina, though. Clint's not going to be in a season 2. Yeah, Clint's not going to be in a season 2. I think it's going to transition straight to Kate as the new Hawkeye. So, Kate, are you team Pete and Derek, or are you team Sam and Rebecca?
I'm team confused Kate. That is what team I am.
Hashtag confused Kate lives forever.
Hashtag confused Kate. I don't know why this show, because I do pay attention while I'm watching it. I am paying attention. I had literally nothing to do except sit on an airplane and watch this show. But I talked to Ryan, who's watching, and I was like, well, I think this person might be the bad guy. And he was like, Kate, we figured that out in the first episode. And I'm like, how did I miss that? And so I actually do like the character of Kate because she makes me laugh. That is why I like her. Because I'm all about that Marvel humor, but not as bad as Loki. But I am just having trouble following this show. I feel like I'm missing things, and I don't know how I keep missing things. But that's the only reason why I'm like, I don't think I like this show as much, only because I'm just having a really hard time following it. So
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's both like there's both a lot of plot and not much plot at the same time. Because
Yeah.
it's basically
Yeah.
like a bunch of people are after Hawkeye,
yeah.
and then there's all these villains and we don't really know any of their motivations yet. Really.
Yeah.
Except
And that's
maybe
an
Echo.
And that's a great transition into Sam. Who is the real villain in this show?
This is so hard because there's so many villains right now that we know of, right? We know of, if I can list them off the top of my head, we've got Maya, we've got the tracksuit mafia who is kind of under her or next to her, or part of that she's a part of. We've got Jack, the soon to be stepfather. We've got Kingpin, who we think is running the tracksuit mafia in the background. We've got Yelena, who's being controlled by Val. She could be a villain. And then we've got the super secret potential villain, which is the mom, right? We think the mom could be the villain. So so Derek's been counting for me. That's 6. I think that's it for the the villains. Maybe there's somebody else we haven't met yet we'll meet in the next 2 episodes. I think the boss, I actually think is going to be the mom. I know we don't know that yet, but I think she's the boss, or Kingpin is the boss. I don't think it's Jack. I don't think it's the tracksuit mafia are clearly underlings. So I don't think Maya's the one in charge. I don't think Yelena is really a villain. I think she's sort of she's being misled by Val about Clint Barton being responsible or being having murdered Natasha Romanoff. So yeah, sorry, all that to say is a long story, but basically I think it's the mom. I think she's going to be the big baddie. Derek, what do you think?
And to bring up the point of Yelena, she's not going to be the big villain because they made too big of a point out of the Clint's best shot is the one he never took, and Kate didn't take the shot on Yelena. So there's going to be some kind of coordination with them. Guys, who isn't the villain at this point? I trust Kate, I trust Hawkeye, and I trust Hawkeye's family. That's it. I loved it's so interesting. In the comics, his wife is Mockingbird, who is a hero, and that has kind of brought into play as far as Clint's wife is Mockingbird. So is it her watch? Because all of a sudden she knows a lot about it and was able to get the research really quick. I've heard where it could be Kate. Steve's watch, the friend who is no longer really in the hero business, could be Steve. Nick Fury is not really on the planet. Any Nick Fury on the planet right now is a Skrull. So it could be Nick Fury's watch.
Wait, can we just call up Ryan's comment right now? Because this goes into your list. Somebody of you forgot, Derek? Yes.
Yeah.
Ryan trusts Pizza Dog. We all trust
Ryan, you
I don't know.
stole my
comment.
I don't know. We've met Bombshell this week. One of the LARPers. She's a character in the comics. She was actually an assassin who was hired to kill Hawkeye. But yet she's the cop that got him all the arrows back. There's another LARPer that has a role in, I think the guy he fought in the first one actually has a role within the comics. On a side,
I don't think
Hawkeye's exploding arrows, and he got them back. Wouldn't they destroy? So how does he get them back if they're explosive air? Yeah. I said there's a great possibility Kate and I discussed earlier, and it's already been talked a little bit. But Kate, who's your main villain? Yeah. And I didn't help that at all, did I, Kate?
Muted.
Uh,
And she's muted. So it's going around tonight, guys.
The mom. And I can't tell you why. Here is why. Is when she picked up the phone and made the phone call and she's like, bro, we got a problem. And I don't even remember who she was talking to. And
We
she
don't know.
probably didn't say bro, and that was when I said, I think she might be the villain. And that's like,
and that's when Ryan said we figured that out on episode 1.
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
because I was like, I think the mom is like bad, and he goes, yeah,
she's
she
fighting with
killed
our mom.
somebody, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, how did I miss and or forget that?
Well,
Anyway,
I
Pete,
think
you go.
I think they're so setting up. They're so showing that Jake, the stepdad or future stepdad, is
Yeah.
the bad guy that I don't think. I mean, not saying that he's a good guy, but I don't think he's the main bad guy. I think they're telegraphing that way too much for that to be. I also have thought almost since the beginning that the mom is somehow in it. Obviously, she doesn't want to hurt Kate, though. I don't think that's the case, but I do think she's probably behind the watch. That we don't know what the watch is about. I guess I'm assuming it's like Tony Stark's watch, and it's like one of those things where like you turn the dial and you put on the Iron Man suit or something. I don't know.
Except for Clint's comment that it belongs to a friend who's no longer in the business. So
Well, Tony's not in the business; he's dead.
Well, but why would it matter if it? I mean,
I know what you're saying. Yeah, and I thought one of the things I kind of liked, and you talk about someone you trust, like. We've known Clint's wife for a number of movies. I mean, she's always had a very small part, but this was the first time we really had any indication that she's involved in the things that go on. Let's say involved with SHIELD. So it does appear that she's maybe also a former SHIELD agent. So that'll be interesting to see how that wraps up. I know you talked about, I mean, I've seen that online too, her being Mockingbird. I don't necessarily think they're going to do that, but I definitely think she's involved. As far as the big bad, I still think we're going to see Kingpin come in before the end of the series as the biggest bad. I don't know how they're going to wrap all this up. As I said, it seems like they've got a lot going on and only 2 episodes to wrap it up. I don't know for sure that there's a season 2. I kind of agree with Rebecca, though, that it feels like they can't wrap up all the loose ends almost, but I just don't see necessarily Jeremy Renner coming back, but I still say he's going to end up home for Christmas by the end of the last episode.
Pete, quick question on one of your answers. Do you think Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be the Kingpin that we see?
Yes.
That will be awesome. That's what I'm hoping for.
And I think Daredevil will also show up.
What?
Daredevil
will also be showing up.
I don't know if he's going to be in this episode.
Sure if we're going to see him.
Yeah.
But I think we'll at least, like, we might see Vincent D'Onofrio for like 15 seconds, but I think we're going to see him. I think we'll get one scene with him. What about you, Rebecca? What do you think's going to happen?
It was Agatha all along.
That was so well played.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
I totally love that.
Obviously, it's not. I mean, there's nothing really substantial that I could add to the conversation that's already been had. That's kind of like the one negative part about going last on this show is we all are very similar on the things that we talk about and we know and we do our research, so it's like hard to bring up any new or interesting points. I'm obviously team mom. I think that they played the Jack part so heavily to distract us from the fact that it's the mom. And we kind of got a little bit of a heartwarming sensation when Kate was watching them dance in the living room and, and she was staring at him and actually smiling and stuff. And so, he's going to be basically a part in this family and has no idea what's going on. Mom killed the uncle to get the inheritance, and that he has nothing to do with that, has no idea, is just a heartbroken nephew, right? And then I think there's probably a hierarchy, so mom or Kingpin answers to mom, and the tracksuits answer to Kingpin, and then so does Maya and everything with that. So Maya's on her own mission. We know that she's doing things that Kingpin does not, if that's who she answers to. Whoever she answers to does not want to follow the same mission that she's doing. And we know that from who's the guy that she is really close with.
Kazi.
Yeah, so Kazi was saying, I don't even think it was in this episode, but the third one where he had said he wouldn't like this. What are you doing? And she snapped and was like, well, who's in charge here? You know, you listen to me and stuff. So she's doing something because her father was killed by Ronan and all that. Pizza Dog may be the villain. How did he lose the eye?
I never thought of that.
How did he lose the eye? Nobody
He
knows.
could be
Oh my
like the
God.
cat in Captain
Could
Marvel,
Pizza Dog
right?
be Nick Fury?
Nick Fury.
incarnate?
Yes. Yes. So I do think that somebody out there is the scroll, or there is somebody out there who a scroll is pretending to be only because they also said the watch is protecting someone's identity.
Yeah.
So that person is alive and on Earth trying to pretend to be somebody else. And I think that is where that all kind of ties in together. So
Yeah. By the way, if people are interested in, and this is for the audience, but also for you guys, but if people are interested in like the deep cuts on the comic book references and the Easter eggs, Sean Keane on cnet.com does a recap article every week. And he does those deep cuts into the comic book stuff and where they're, you know, he's the one, or he was, I had read something that Derek had commented on Bombshell, that reference. I would not have caught that reference. There's a bunch of really interesting Easter eggs that he seems to write about. I don't know if he's just a comic book nerd, but regardless, his articles every week are really good. And that's part of the research that, you know, Rebecca was talking about that those of us in the platoon tend to do before these episodes.
yeah, something I've mentioned him before, but the YouTube channel New Rockstars does 3 episodes every episode of the show. So they'll do 3 videos. One that is a reaction with main questions like this, kind of like a live show that we do. They also do an Easter eggs scene by scene for each of the episodes, and then another one where they break down.
But
Just
only
everything
watch
that's
them
going
after
on.
you've watched us.
Right. Platoon first. Team Pizza Dog. All right, Kate. All right, confused Kate.
I will say, as far as the mom, and kind of goes into some of the research, in the comics, the mom is most definitely a bad guy.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I
the
didn't know
mom
that.
works and fights against Kate's new. Kate goes over what's known as the West Coast Avengers, and she fights her mom. And her mom dies, then comes back, then betrays her, and so I mean, it's just mom is a baddie in the comics. Ed says it's a complex plot with a complex villain formula. Which one? That's the trend with streaming series. They feel they need to keep things complex in order to not talk down to the audience. I would argue WandaVision, in that case, definitely talked down to all of us, and I think it's been just about our favorite.
WandaVision
Yeah, I think-
was a whole different level. WandaVision was, I think part of the reason we all loved WandaVision so much is because it wasn't as in your face Marvel. It brought back so much nostalgia, and it was totally different.
Well, and the Easter eggs were more about nods to TV, you know, old TV shows and stuff like that. So it was different. There were some deep cut comic book nods too, but there were a lot of other nods, a lot of other Easter eggs that were fun to watch. And obviously visually it was very different.
I think too the relationship between Wanda and Vision, it is a different type of watching the story. We saw the bromance with, you know, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yes, sorry. We saw the bromance there. Loki was a lone soldier until he finds Evie and all this stuff.
And himself or whatever.
Whatever that is. And so just seeing their love and knowing how pure it was from the movies to transitioning into this show, I think it was completely on its own in a whole new world. So,
well, I think one of the big flaws of this show actually is that too many villains. You know, Falcon and Winter Soldier did a little bit of that too, but this show, it's, as I said, it's fairly simple. It's mostly about these two characters. But then there's like all of these villains being thrown at it, and it feels unnecessary so far. And maybe we'll see how it wraps up. But I worry that they're gonna leave some things hanging. I don't know.
I think that's why
Maybe they're all in league together. I don't know.
That's why I was saying I think it's all a hierarchy. Like they're all going up to the same person who is the mom who runs. You know, she's this major icon in her city that knows everybody, right? She's this rich lady, and I think they'll eventually bring her in and, you know, expose her truths, and then she'll have one of those big moments where she talks about everything she's done and all of this stuff. I don't want you getting involved because I'm also involved, and yeah.
To quote, they'll start monologuing. But anyway, so now, does that mean Mom is the one that has ultimately hired Yelena? Do you think it's gone that far? Or do you think that's totally unrelated? I think
unrelated.
I'm asking Rebecca on this one.
Me?
Somebody unrelated.
Unrelated.
Okay.
Unrelated. I agree. She's under Val. She's not under.
And I would agree too. I just, with the comment that Mom's over all of it, I didn't know if you included Yelena on that or not.
The only reason she's unrelated is because she was from we saw who she is reporting to. We see who, you know, is calling her out to do the mission. It just happens to fall into this. Everyone else that we've mentioned as villains in this series has come from this show or has, you know, been brought in here. So
Okay, so we have 2 episodes of Hawkeye left. We will do one next week, and then we will have the finale on, fittingly, Christmas Eve. No, the 23rd. 22nd.
No, that's the week after.
No, the finale is the 22nd.
Next week's the 21st. Oh, the finale's on the 22nd. Yeah,
finale's on the 22nd.
Oh, but the show
we won't talk about it till after.
We'll talk about the 28th.
Okay, I was like,
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay. Also, Kate, just nod and smile, Kate. Okay. Also, this week we were suggested a diamond in the rough entitled "The Rescue," and I'm gonna bring in the friend of the show who recommended it, Vicky. Vicky, glad to see you with us this evening.
Hey, platooners! I like to call you guys PP.
Yay! We love it.
I knew
Vicky,
I liked
you're not
Vicky.
helping.
I knew I liked you.
And I'm going to say hi, fellow DVC newscaster.
Happy PP.
Thanks for joining us today, Vicky.
Yeah, thanks for having me, everyone.
So the rescue, Pete, not the rescuers.
Oh,
but
or the rescuers down under.
Oh, yeah. So Pete's gonna go watch it real quick. It focused on the 2018 cave rescue of the Thailand soccer team that was all over the news. So, Vicky, I think I know how you're going to start this, but I'm going to start it with you. Did it sink or did it swim? How was the show?
For me, it swam, if we're going to use that cute language. So, like, it was way better than I thought it was going to be. It was really long, like a whole movie, like an hour and a half, which I liked because it took its time and didn't rush it, and you really feel like they covered everything. So just that quality to me was like a big deal about it. Everyone knows, like you said, it's not a spoiler. Everyone knows the resolution of it and all the pieces, but it was, despite that, you know, it was very compelling because that's, I think, a hallmark of a good production where you know the ending, but it's still captivating like every step of the way through, and that the time they took for you to care about each person, their own personal stories, I thought that was just so good.
Okay. For me, I would say it 85-90% swam. The reenactments were very well done, which if you guys didn't realize it, anything that was them in the cave swimming was a reenactment. So yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Now it was done with the same people from the story. But
amazing,
anything
right?
that was in the cave with them swimming was 100% a reenactment.
Wow.
There was one
not
shot
the footage of the kids.
Well, the footage where they drugged the kids was a reenactment.
Yeah.
Right.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the footage of the kids where he pulls up the camera and you see him sitting there.
Sedated, not drugged. Sedated. Let's
Sedated.
calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
whatever. Tomato,
Right.
tomato.
Them sitting in the cave on that ledge
That
kind of
was
thing.
real.
That was the real. But then
And
being
then
put into
anything outside the cave
right,
was
but then
real.
being put into the wetsuits and sedated and then in the
Completely
water, that I
reenactment.
I didn't know that. They did an excellent job reenacting that.
Yeah.
And pretending to be sedated, frankly.
Yeah. But I don't know. It held my
What was the
attention fairly well.
15% that you didn't like about it?
It got long.
Oh,
got
okay.
long.
I liked it.
It got really, really long. To me, it could have been an hour.
No.
Oh, I disagree.
But
Lots of shaking heads.
I don't know.
Everyone's like,
I mean, I enjoyed it, but it just ran a little long for me. Kate?
This could be one of my favorite things that we've watched. I literally, Vicky, I am so grateful that you recommended this. And I make no secret of the fact of how much I love documentaries, but they have to be good. They have to be good documentaries. Like if somebody, what was the one Jane? Is that what we watched? Where it didn't hold up. I was actually sad that this ended as quickly as it did. I was riveted. And I remember this happening. I remember this event happening. And I remember back in, I think it was 2000, I don't remember, when the Chilean miners were stuck, and they got them out. I remember both of these events happening. And I fascinated. There is, if you haven't watched, for those of you listening or following along, if you haven't watched this, there is 0% chance that they should have been able to find these children and rescue them safely. The fact that, listen, I will try to keep this brief because I could talk about this documentary for hours. I am fascinated by it. The fact that the two divers who basically made it work weren't even professional. It was a hobby for them. This was something that they did for fun. Watching how they had to communicate with the Thai government and with, you had people from China and America and Belgium and the UK and people not even speaking the same language. Like it shows at the beginning where they're like, no, the Thai Navy SEALs are like, you cannot go in the cave. And one of the divers, literally, you see him saying, you understand, there are children in there. Like, and watching how faith played such a factor in it for the Thai people and how the parents were like, they had these bracelets that, and I am going to use the incorrect word here, so please forgive me. I'm going to call him a shaman. I don't remember what the deity, the holy deity that the Thai people believed, and the story with the princess and the father, and how they believe that this deity was the father reincarnated and that he had never made peace. Oh my gosh, I mean I could sit and talk about this documentary for hours.
So you're saying you liked it?
It was so good. The only, and you know what? I'm actually going to save that for a Pixie Dust. It's so good. So good. Vicky, thank you so much for recommending this, because I will probably watch it again over Christmas with my mom, because I know my mom will really enjoy it. So we're probably
tearjerker.
It's so good. It helped knowing that there's a happy ending. Like if we were watching a documentary about the Challenger where it's not a happy ending, or like the Titanic where it's like, this is not gonna end well for anyone, but the fact that it's a happy ending, and watching it, you know it's a happy ending, and yet you're still like, how are they going to pull this off? How are they going to pull this off? So I'm going to shut up because I could talk about this for actual hours. Pete, you go.
So I'm probably closer to Derek than to Kate's level of enthusiasm. I really enjoyed it a lot. I found it fascinating. I thought especially the portion of the last half hour or so when they're actually getting the kids out, I thought they managed to make it feel truly, the word I thought of at the time was harrowing.
Mhm.
It was really like very suspenseful, and to do that when again you know it's going to work, but the way they portrayed it, I really enjoyed it. The issue I had with it was kind of the reenactments, because as I was watching it early on, I'm watching certain things, I'm going, there's no way they were filming that when
Right.
when that was going on. There's no way they were filming that. And so like I didn't realize that as I was watching it, for certain that they'd reenacted it. I would have liked them to have been more upfront with that. If you watch the end credits, right at the very end, there was like a little blurb at the bottom that said some of the things were reenacted with the original participants, but I wish they had done that up front, because I found it a little distracting that, like, clearly, to me anyways, clearly they were faking things and I wish they just said, hey, some of these scenes are reenacted, and then it wouldn't have distracted me. But otherwise, it was a great documentary. And I won't talk as long as Kate. So Rebecca?
For me, it was like Michael Phelps winning his like 15th gold medal swam. It was freaking amazing. And I mean, like, I
Wasn't
usually
sure where you were going with that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wasn't
Like,
sure. I
it's
wasn't sure if that was a
not
good thing or a bad thing. I'm here for that.
An amazing thing, like winning I don't know. Sorry, maybe I should have used a different one. But anyway, it was to me amazing. I didn't remember how the ending happened. In my mind, I was like, I feel like I would have known if they didn't make it, like that I would have remembered. So I felt confident, like watching it. And I usually, with this stuff that is not outside of my interest, I usually put on in the background, and Willie and I would just like listen to it and not really pay attention, just have enough to talk about it. But we're both like sitting there watching it happen, like glued to the television. It was
So good.
so good. And we died. I mean, just so heartbroken when the one diver was talking to his wife, and he said, and I rambled for 10 minutes on the phone with her, talking about everything. And she broke down in tears and told me that my father had passed away on the same day. And I was like, what the F? Like, really? Like, it's just like, man, you look at those people, and I'm so amazed, and I was honored to see how they were honored afterwards with meeting the Queen.
I like that.
And Prince Harry, and getting all those awards and those fascination and the applause at the airport, and just everything for people who just did this for fun. Grabbed a team of people who are just excellent at their craft, who were at first kind of like ridiculed by the Thai SEALs. Like, you don't know what you're doing. We've trained for this stuff. And they're like, okay. I'd say, Pete, with you, I didn't know it was a reenactment, but in my mind, I'm like, how do they have the camera go there?
Same. Amazing.
So there's two people.
Same. I wasn't really
time going back and forth recording this. This one person's been in the water for 10 hours. Like, they need to get out. And it was amazing. I hated though seeing, even though it was a reenact. I mean, now knowing, I didn't know then, but seeing the kids with their hands tied behind their back and like being put, I can't. My heart just went out. And for them to never lose their happiness and their faith, like we've talked about, and just they were so proud and just so happy. They had a great spirit about them through the entire thing, knowing that their people would get them out. So it was really incredible, and loved it. So same.
So I'm similar to Rebecca in that I but I remembered the outcome. I remembered that the boys, were rescued, but I didn't remember the story of exactly how they were rescued. I didn't remember about the sedation and that they swam them out. I was actually a little bit confusing it with the Chilean miners, where they actually dug and drilled and lifted them out. And so I did not remember the rescue story, except obviously the ending. But I have to say, there are some movies and some stories that just move you in a way that I don't know that very little can. And this story and this movie just totally moved me. I mean, I'm a mom, and I was bawling. I'm a mom of an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I was bawling on and off throughout this movie in a good way, in a sad way, when the boys were even just being sedated. I mean, just all of it. It was, but to me, the story of humanity coming together, the story of, ingenuity, of bravery, of heroism, of survival, all of these themes that came out in this movie are what I want our world to look like. And so it was, to me, nothing short of incredible. I mean, the what happened was incredible. The documenting of it was incredible. I knew it seemed weird to me, like it did to Rebecca, about that there would be a camera person there, but then I was like, forget about it. Just watch the documentary, right? Like, so I didn't let myself really go down the rabbit hole of thinking about why that was happening. I didn't really realize it was a reenactment, but it totally makes sense to me. But to me, it didn't take away anything from the movie at all. So, I wouldn't have been upset if they had a warning at the beginning, just telling people that, but it didn't bother me that they didn't either. But yeah, I loved it. I can't say anything more than I loved it. And thank you, Vicky. I am forever grateful to you for having me watch this movie. I have now recommended it to thousands of lawyer mom friends, the Facebook group that I'm in, because I feel like everybody should watch this. And it was only 1 hour and 47 minutes.
Okay.
That's including all of the credits. So it was not too long. Derek, you're just wrong. So sit there and be wrong in your wrongness.
I think we can all agree that we really do appreciate Vicky recommending this, because I think we all really we're glad to experience the movie. So
yeah, as I was watching it, the camera angles thing will just be so funny. I think it's not none of the documentary was funny, but I can't believe that I literally never thought maybe this is not the live footage. Like, in my mind, I was like, they recorded it. I was set. I thought maybe I convinced myself it was GoPros, like, attached to things.
Me too, at some point.
So I guess
that's what I thought it
for me.
Yeah,
but
I thought that at first, but then some of the shots, I was like, "There's no way that they got
too clear." Yeah.
And the other thing was, as we were watching it, about halfway through, when they were like, "How do we get these kids out?" My instant thought was sedate them.
Really?
I was
Smart
like,
girl.
make a contraption.
I had no idea. Actually, I had
chin
forgotten.
Up to that angle so their airway is open. I was like, just put them unconscious. I've seen scuba masks where it goes over their whole face. You don't have to worry about how they breathe in. But I was like, just knock them out and pull them out. So I was proud of myself. I'm a doctor now.
Nice.
Willie says he was enthralled, couldn't look away. Thanks for recommending this, Vicky.
Yeah.
Gina said the only thing she had an issue with was the subtitles. She likes to listen to documentaries and do work in the background, so the reading didn't help her. Ryan says, dang, I need to watch this. Yeah. Ryan. I mean, yeah.
Get on it.
Steve said it was amazing how many things had to go right.
Totally. Like, it was a team effort. That was a big part of it. Yeah.
Willie said he loved the underdog component. All the divers shared how they were bullied and how their crazy weekend hobby turned into a life-saving skill. The doctor probably said it best when he said, picked last for the cricket team, but first for the cave diving team.
Total.
I love
tears.
Yeah.
And this is the last thing I'm going to add. Last thing I promise for this. When the divers found the kids initially, and he just kept saying, believe. Believe.
Tears.
Like, goosebumps. Because he knew. I think there was only one of them that spoke English.
Yes, one of the
Right,
kids,
right.
Yeah,
or the
there
coach,
was
but
only
only a
one.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and a little bit. And he just wanted them to see, I am real. This is real. Believe. And that just, it was like, how many times in our lives do we just need to hear the words believe? So,
Just like in Ted Lasso.
Also a great one, yeah.
Also a great show,
Not Disney
but not on
Plus.
Disney Plus.
Right.
Last thing. I didn't even know that they had 4 other people that they found there.
That was so funny. Like not
And
funny,
they had
but also
no idea
funny.
that they were
They're workers.
missing.
I
Like
was
the
like,
cave. Yeah,
this is
I was like,
crazy. Like crazy.
what? And they
So-
only and they I think yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So, as we always do, Vicky, we're going to do our Pixie Dust rating. And as always, Kate,
And it's
Where are you
1 to
putting it?
5, Vicky.
yeah, it's 1 to 5.
so I am giving this a 4. And the only reason I am not giving it a 5, actually, I'll give it a 4.5. Only reason, I wanted to hear from the kids.
Me too. That was
That was the only thing I wanted to hear from the kids. And if I couldn't hear from the kids, I wanted to hear from the coach. I wanted to hear from their side. Now, they are still, this only happened in 2018. They are still children.
Yeah, that's
So-
probably why.
Exactly. I can understand. And I'm sure the Thai government was also very, but that's the only reason that I am docking it a teeny tiny bit is because I wanted to hear from the kids.
And the coach is very much a liability issue. So he's
Yep.
been told to
So-
not talk.
To not talk, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that makes sense. I wanted to hear even just one thing from their end. Anyway, Pete.
Well, and I also think that they were purposefully telling the story from the diver's point of view, kind of. So I can kind of get that, but yeah, that would have been nice. I'm gonna give it a 4. I really enjoyed it. I think it's actually good to know the ending, to know that the kids come out alive, because if you didn't know that, you would be like, well, these kids are surely some of these kids are going to die. There's just no way.
I would have
They're getting
pulled
them
all
all
my
out.
hair out if that happened.
Yeah. So I think, if you're watching us and you haven't seen it, you can still go and see it. It's very fascinating, and well worth watching. Rebecca?
4.75 because the only thing I finished watching it today and I fell asleep at one part because it was talking about the divers' history with diving. That to me wasn't very important. I know that they were, trying to show like it's just their hobby and like just the thing that they do. They're not like professionals or anything like that. But to me, I wanted it to be like it started out just about the rescue and like what is happening. They have these people they're bringing in. Then they started talking about like the stuff that they do for diving, and they have these different contraptions and how I don't know. It's not perfect. I'm sorry. 4.75.
That's pretty good.
I am going to do something I don't think I've ever done on this show, but Derek will correct me if I'm wrong. I am giving this movie a 5.
Wow.
Perfection, despite the little bits of criticisms that you have all had.
You gave the Avengers a 5.
Okay, so I am dismissing all
Avenger
of your
level.
Yeah, this is Avenger level. I am and I am dismissing all of your little criticisms because despite those criticisms that you may have, this was so good and so powerful. I wouldn't change a thing. Would I want to hear more from these kids? Absolutely. Would I want to hear more about what happened to some of these divers on other, cave dives or things that happened after? Sure, but this documentary was perfection. Vicky, what do you give it?
I'm actually a really tough critic. So to me, you watch something, you're like, that's really good, right? But then you really start to think back, and this is probably the best documentary I've ever seen, like time-wise, how they pick to tell the story. They've got so many angles, and so they're like, you know what, let's go with the divers. No, but it works, right? And it inspires teamwork and going for your passion, even though it's like you're not picked for the cricket team, like so many things. And the mysticism, like you said, it's just like different cultures, everything. So of course it's a 5. Pixie, that's for me.
for me, Vicky, I will say I'm an even tougher critic than you are. I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay.
Mainly because
Ooh.
I like it.
Well,
I
that's
won't
pretty
watch
good
it
for him.
again.
Oh,
I
okay.
like it. I
So
won't watch it again.
watchability. Okay.
And it's not as good as The Boys. To me, The Boys is the best thing we've seen on here so far.
Wow.
The one about the Sherman brothers.
Yeah, yeah.
To me, that because to me, knowing this didn't. I may have me.
I'm glad he glitched out for that.
Yeah. I don't know what he said.
I was gonna say I may have a heart of stone, but this doesn't move me. So I wasn't moved at all at this.
You have a heart of stone.
I do want to
Well,
add one thing, especially if you haven't watched it yet, is while the divers are the heroes of it, the two specifically, the two British guys, they gave up.
Yeah. I love that though.
They
because
gave
that's
up.
Part
They
of
said
being
this
human.
cannot be done, and
Exactly.
they asked to fly home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember if it was the American or if it was the Belgium guy. I don't remember who it was that said, "Okay, but like, what if?"
There was like everybody else was
Yeah.
still going like, what?
And so I like that they showed that they showed that even the guys who did it
Mhm.
were like,
Didn't think it was possible.
Yeah.
no, and he even admitted, he said, I still cannot believe that I allowed myself to
Yeah.
this.
And it
I
was-
could talk about this documentary forever.
Totally. Because it was engineering, because they could do the lessen the water. That's how they were able to move forward. Without that,
Totally.
none of it would have happened. So
Right,
it's like
those pumps.
science,
Absolutely.
you know, so many
Engineers.
things,
They had to science the SHIT out of it.
you know?
You're muted, Derek.
Derek, you're muted.
Are you muted?
Of course I am. It seems to be
Okay.
going around. Vicky, again, thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Next week, we are diving into the vault for our Christmas show, which is Muppet Christmas Carol. And as we have done so far last week, and it's going to be last month, and it's going to become a typical thing, the vault's going to have trivia, guys. We will have Muppet Christmas Carol trivia. So that is next week. Now, in the end of the December, we're going to do the Toonies. We're going to do our year-end awards. What's the best? What's not so great that we've watched so far this year? So, Gina, if you could put up the URL. The URL, there's a Google form that is now live, tinyurl.com/2021 Tuesdays. Voting will be open until
Toonies.
December 20th.
Not Tuesdays. Toonies.
Toonies. 2021 Toonies. Voting will be open until midnight on December 27th. For what do you guys think is the best and worst of what we've watched so far this year? And it is, except for one category, it is stuff that came out this year. There is a best vault show, but everything else is stuff that's come out or stuff we've at least watched this year.
Did The Rescue come out this year?
Yes.
It just came out in October, so it's actually not from the vault.
Yeah. So that's why
Are we allowed to vote, Derek?
you are allowed to vote once. Everyone can
Vote
vote once. It will ask for your email address, but that's just so we can see who's voting. We will not spam you. We definitely will not sell it because no one at this point would want to buy anything from us. But it's just going to be so you can get announcements on what other information is. So with that, guys, again, Vicky, thank you. And we will see you next week for A Muppet's Christmas Carol. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcast and leave those 5-star reviews as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel, where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.